I'm going with an intern instead. I've heard that a million times, especially over the last couple of months. As a video production agency owner who's been in the game for more than 7 years. It's kind of weird because I've heard this objection way more over the past couple months than I've ever heard in the 7+ years that I've been in this business. So I'm gonna give you 3 reasons as to why hiring a video production intern is going to not save your business. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars and ultimately is gonna waste hundreds of hours of your time. So let's start with the first reason. Video production requires a ton of strategy. Look, video production in 24 going into 2025, it's not as simple as pointing, clicking, shooting, posting, and then seeing what happens with your video content. It's a game that requires a ton of strategy beforehand. You have to think about the planning, the outlining, the scripting, the shooting, the editing, the distribution, how you're gonna measure success with all of this content. And let's face it, an intern simply has not had enough experience in their professional lives to think through all of those things for you, the client. Key point number 2, interns will waste your time. So I'm going to tell you a story about a client that I had about 2 years ago. This was a client who was spending a lot of time on social media, a lot of time creating his own video content. He had an intern team, he had an overseas editing team, and he was spending 15 to 20 hours a week on his content because he had hired inexperienced people. So let's go ahead and break this down. So he was putting in 15 to 20 hours a week into all of his social media. So if you're going to be thinking about that every single month, he's putting in between 60 to 80 hours a month on social media and video production. He's pretty much hiring himself part-time to create his own content for himself. It's a lot of himselfs there, but you get the point. It's a big waste of time. And this is on top of paying an international editing team and paying an intern who are also giving him 15 hours a week. When we came in, we were able to take away all that time from his editing team and his intern team. At the end of the day, here's what was actually pretty crazy. We were able to make sure that this guy was only giving us 2 hours per week to give us his content for social media. In other words, we took him from going at 60 to 80 hours a month on his content creation and social media game to only having to give us 8 hours a month. Think about all that time as a business owner that you get back by not working with an intern and working with a video production agency. Key point number 3, and this one's gonna be the one that's gonna hurt you the most. Interns will waste your money. So when you see this key point and you see that it says interns waste your money, you're probably thinking, how? I'm paying this guy 15 bucks an hour to take care of all my content creation and video needs for social media. How could that possibly be a waste of money when I'm only paying him 15 bucks an hour, but you quoted me $2,000 to $3,000 a month? I'm gonna break it down for you. The intern you are spending $15 an hour on, right? And let's say that your time is worth $200 an hour because you're a business owner. Your time is worth a lot of money. So you're over here worth $200 an hour. You own your business. You're super happy. So you bring in this intern to say, hey, I want you to create all my video content, right? This video intern does not know where to start. So now that video intern has to do research in terms of how to start creating content for a business owner. So they're doing research. They're going on Facebook. They're going on YouTube. They're going on Google. They're talking to their friends, and you're paying that intern for that time. On top of that, this intern is so overwhelmed that they are not giving you their work on time. They are late. Therefore, you are having to pour more time into them and more time yourself researching all these things. So right there, you've already wasted a couple hours and you've already paid that intern for 5 to 6 hours. So at the end of the day, you decide that you want to shoot 2 podcast interviews with your business owner friend down the street and you want to shoot 10 educational reels. That's a great plan. Took you a long time to get there though. So this intern is going to take a whole day, 8 hours to create this content for you. The scripting, the hooks, the outline, all of that. You're also going to have to put in a couple hours there. So that's 2 hours more for you right there. And because of this, you're also going to have to delay that shoot and move it a week because you had to put in way more time than you were expecting. So you call your friend up and say, hey, I'm delaying the shoot by a week. Now you look like a terrible business owner to your friend that you're trying to impress, and you wasted even more time. 4 hours right there. Now it's the day of the shoot. You're excited, you show up, your friend shows up, you're ready to go. Your intern, probably late because he's overthinking and overwhelmed because of the day that's going to be in front of him. He's showing up without a plan and a strategy on how exactly to get all that content shot for you at the end of the day. So that 2-hour shoot that you were expecting to shoot now it turns into 4 hours. So now you've wasted 2 hours of your time and you're paying your intern for another 4. You've already spent 18 hours of your intern's time before you're even touching editing. And editing is the most expensive and time-consuming part of this entire equation. By the way, you've also already put in 10 hours of extra time that you weren't expecting to put in. So now let's get into post-production. And here in post-production, you know, a lot of these interns that are coming in, they're taking a lot of these post-production and editing classes. So a lot of them come in knowing how to edit, which is actually a good plus for an intern. They can edit projects really, really well. The problem is that they don't have somebody above them, a post-production supervisor, a director of marketing, somebody who can give them the clear vision on what the expectations are for this video content. Because your intern did not take the time up front to give you a project brief or a document that clearly states all the expectations that you want from this video project, he's going to mess up a lot at the very beginning. So much so that you're going to have to go back and forth with that editor, who's your intern, about 5 or 6 times for revisions. And each of those revisions takes you an entire hour. So that's adding an extra 6 hours of time for you. And with your intern, who's also your editor, is taking about 2 to 3 hours per reel trying to figure everything out. So if you're doing 10 reels, you're paying them about 30 hours to do all this editing. The podcast episodes, they're not that hard. But at the end of the day, what happens with those podcast episodes, you want your logo to be perfect. You want your lower thirds to be perfect. You want some transitions. You want all these things that you didn't address up front for 15 minutes with your intern, but now take multiple revisions to cover as well. So you have to put in an extra 5 hours for your intern there to take care of those fixes. And you have to put in an extra hour to review those podcast episodes. You realize at the end too, you're not a big fan of the music. You're not a big fan of the vibe. So you have to do one more revision to make sure that it's all aligned with your brand. So we're going to add another hour to you and another 4 hours to your editor, a half day. So by the time your videos are done, 10 days late, by the way, you're upset. Your intern's over it. Your friend that you wanted to impress doesn't really care anymore. And you know what? You're probably not going to post this content anyway because it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to turn out. And even if it did, you're just not excited about it anymore. If your intern worked for you on this project, they spent 57 hours doing video production and editing for you. So 57 times 15 is $855, which, you know what, for all these deliverables, 2 podcasts shot and edited along with 10 reels, that's a fantastic deal. I would take that deal all day. The problem is that you as a business owner had to put in a lot more time in order to get this done. You had to put in 18 hours of your own precious business owner time. So if my math is correct, 18 times 200 is $3,600. So no, you did not pay your intern $855 to take care of all this content for you. You actually paid that intern $855 plus the $3,600 that you spent having to babysit that intern, having to double, triple check everything, having to go through all those issues, and ultimately wasting a lot of your time. So in total, with your time that you've wasted and what you paid that intern, you spent about $4,500 figuring out how to shoot these 2 podcasts and the 10 reels. When if you would have just hired a video production agency to take care of all this for you, you probably would have spent about $1,500, $2,000, and you maybe would have given us 2 to 3 hours. Interns can be a huge help for your business, but when you are looking to save your business, an intern is not the way to go, especially for video production. In the end, just like with everything in video production, you are going to get burned so badly when you try to go the cheap route. So I hope you learned something out of today. Your time is money. Your time is valuable. So don't bring in an intern if you are looking to solve a big problem for your business on the video production or marketing side. Trust the professionals.